Yeah, so if you're just joining and then you're hearing this recording, you must have missed everything that we have said. And so I'm sorry it's a little late, but okay, I'm just kidding. All right, this is going to sound very interesting when people get the recording. Don't worry, you'll see how it sounds. Okay, so that's by the way. Good evening, everyone. I've been introduced, so I'm not going to waste very much time doing that. We are going to be talking about a topic that is very crucial. You know, it's crucial for any kind of research you're going to do, any kind of research at all. You need to find out what people have done before. In fact, the word research itself is like you going back to search. It's two words in one. It's somebody has searched before, somebody has presented something before. You are going to research. So you're going back to search again. You're going to be searching to see maybe there are gaps that you can fill in, or you see lessons that have been learned, and then you can try to learn from those lessons also, and then also try to replicate what somebody has done. So in most of the instances when you are training, when you're being trained in the college, you're being trained anywhere, you know, any kind of training, maybe for a master's or for a PhD or whatever, they still have, since the word training is there, they still have that requirement that you have to do what is called a literature review, and you must show it. It's not that you have done it, but you must show it, because what hasn't been documented is almost like it hasn't been done. Okay, so this whole idea of the literature review is very important. And in the next few slides, I'm going to present some slides, very few slides. I think I have like 12 slides. And I'm sure most of you that know me, I don't really like slide stuff. I like the action itself, not just having slides. A lot of people, when they know they have slides, they know they have recordings, they don't take things very seriously. Now, I just want to warn here that I'm going to be sharing something that is not exclusive, but I don't know, for some reason, people have made it a little exclusive. I'm going to be sharing, just consider what I'm going to be sharing as information and advice, right? The information in which I wish to share across to each and every one of you, it may seem rather extensive, but you know, when you consider the capacity of the human brain and the amount of information that it can store and that it can decipher, then I think a few pages of information tonight is not going to overburden you. A lot of people think that when you want to search for literature, you can just go to Google and type whatever you feel like typing, and whatever comes up is what you have found. But in the next few minutes, I'm sorry, I'm trying to even bring out my slides. In the next few minutes, you're going to see that it is not as easy as that, and you need to consider a lot of things before you go into just searching. So let me too used to Microsoft Teams. Okay. All right. Can you see my screen?
Yes, I can see your
Awesome.
screen, sir.
Awesome.
How
All
to
right.
search
So
for literature.
all right. So let me just do this. Okay. So like I said, the information might be a little extensive, but I'm sure I'm going to try to, by all means, simplify it, make it quite simple, and let's see how we go. So we're going to have an introduction, and I'll talk about why search online. It may be a little funny, but let's see how it goes. Whatever you do in this world, there are steps for you to do those things, you know. So I'm going to outline for you an 8-step method. I want to say as a disclaimer here, I didn't devise these methods, but I think I refined them to an extent that makes it worthy of note. And then we're going to talk about developing a kind of strategy for yourself, for you to be able to search for your work. And then we're going to try to do a demo if time permits, I have another meeting at the top of the hour, but I hope if time permits, I'm going to do a demo. So I'm going to try to be a little fast, and then so that we can meet up with some time to do the demo, and then I'll give some advice and recommendations, and then open the floor for questions. So that's what we're going to do very quickly without wasting any time. Okay. So what I'll want to start by saying is everybody knows writing is important. If you never thought writing was important, I'm sure you'll not be here by now. And if the college or the medical awarding bodies never thought writing was important, then they wouldn't have asked us to be writing our clinical notes and writing all of those. And just to buttress how well and how much writing is important is in the fact that even our scriptures that most of us are used to, you can see that they are written text that we all relate to. So writing is important, but even more important is research writing. So not just any kind of writing. Any fool can stand up today and write something, right? It takes a smart person to know if something that's written is rubbish, but anybody can just write anything, right? It's just words. And when you combine those words together, they make a sentence. But what is even more important is if the writings that you have is based on research, okay? Based on research, based on what other people have found to be true, and based on also what you have found. So you're not in the wrong place. Unfortunately, researchers find it difficult to write. Some people, in quotes, are very good researchers. I don't know how you can be a good researcher without being able to write, but they're very good researchers. But unfortunately, they cannot put down what they've done in writing, and more specifically in scientific writing. So if you can't do that, then there's a problem. Okay. So for some reason, researchers find it difficult to write. And I just want to say here that just like anything you do that is important, please, if you didn't get anything from this 1 hour that we're going to spend here, just like anything that you do that is important, please, you must acquire the skill that is required in doing it. When you're a kid and you do something and people will just say he's a kid, don't bother him too much as a kid. But the moment you become an adult doesn't do anything by just a chance or by just let me guess. You guess maybe when you're in a life and death situation, maybe you just try your luck and see. But normal circumstances, whatever you need to do, just think about it as an adult, because you'll be held responsible for your actions, and then there are a lot of actions that when you do, you don't come and say you didn't know. The law is not going to leave you. All right, you're an adult, so you should find out how it's done before you go. And you don't go and enter a car and just start driving and then you kill somebody and then you say you didn't know that if you hit somebody with a car, the person is going to die, or you didn't know that you had to learn how to drive. You have to learn how to drive. Unfortunately, in Nigeria, when we come to very important things, you see people don't take it seriously. I'm sure if I'll take a poll now with everybody on this call, how many people actually went to get a license for driving? As in, you were taught how to drive, you read the rules of the road, you went and you did an exam, a written exam, and then after passing that written exam, knowing fully well now that you know the rules of the game, right? You know the rules of the game, and then you can now go and even do a test where there's somebody that's going to be seated by your side. Someone that is a specialist is going to be seated by your side and confirm that you know how to actually drive before they leave you on the road. But I'm sure most people, I have like 31 people on this call. I'm sure most of you know very fully well that maybe it was your driver that just taught you how to drive, or your senior brother that taught you how to drive, and then you went and you paid some money somewhere. I'm sorry to say this. You paid some money somewhere and they gave you one license, and then you are free to drive and you can just do whatever you like. It may work in some instances, but in a lot of other instances, it's a disaster waiting to happen. Okay, so writing requires skill. Please, you need to learn that skill. Anything you are doing, writing, researching, checking it, it's a skill. You need to learn it. Don't just try to guess and play with it. The same thing with literature search is a skill. There are people that are employed in a library and their whole work is to search the information and provide that for individuals that come and use the library. Either they're using the library online or they're using the library offline. So if you think that you call yourself a researcher and then all you can do is just to go to Google and just browse something and say, you found some stuff, you might be able to find some things. But I'm telling you, that's just by fluke. Okay, so it's a skill you require to learn. One thing you learn with that you learn the hard way is avoiding plagiarism. And for you to be able to avoid plagiarism, you need to be able to not just write properly, but also reference properly. So because plagiarism is not only just you copying someone's work, it's also you even copying the person's idea. So what happens when you read like 8, 9 different medical textbooks, and then you come and you just start writing? Last night you read 10 different textbooks, and then you come and you start writing. Where's the dividing line between what you read in the textbook and what is your own stuff? And at what point in time do you need to reference? Okay, so that's just something that I require you to think about. But now, why do you need to learn how to search online? What do you think is the reason behind why you need to search online? Okay, first of all, people are no longer relying on paper. In fact, in some in some organizations now, it's like you're not going to be able to even find paper, much less of to use paper to. And so when you can't find paper and your research is written on paper, then nobody can get access to it. So most things are online now. Okay, then resources are in different parts of the world. Not too far past, I can remember a situation. Maybe if some of you guys, most people I can see on this call, they're still young people. So maybe some of you guys were not born at that time. But just a few years ago, we used to have to, if you have to write a thesis or a dissertation, you have to travel, right? You have to travel. And when I mean travel, you have to really travel. You have to go to the station and book a ticket for traveling maybe the next day. And before you even travel, you call maybe if you are in Zaria or you're in Kaduna or you're in Abuja, you call Ibadan and say, please, you're looking for this particular document. And I learned that somebody went for an update course and he said he saw the journal in your library. Please, is this journal still there? And then the librarian will say, yes, it's there. They've checked. She will just quickly tell you, wait for a second. She checks and then she says it's there. Okay, then you go back and you start planning on how you will go and get that particular journal. And I'm telling you, it's just not too long ago. In fact, you probably couldn't even call with a mobile phone. You probably have to go to, if you guys remember when we used to go to Nitel and you go and join the queue and you'll be asking people if they have that call card and you'll be asking the person how much is. Some of you guys don't even know what I'm talking about because Khadija, can you relate to what I'm talking about?
Yes, Chief. I'm not that young. We use Nigel card
Okay.
now.
All right. No, but because I can see a lot of
you don't have an idea.
a lot of people on this call don't even have an idea what I'm talking about. I can assure
We
you.
do that.
I know some of these names. They don't even know what I'm talking about. They're like, okay, but let me tell you one situation. Wait, just wait. Let me tell you one real life situation. So we had this resident doctor that wanted to do some work for his part 2 quite some time ago. There was no GSM. He had to rely on people that had gone for update course when he had his topic, and then he said he wanted to do this. So one very beautiful topic. So people that had gone to Ibadan for update course had seen a journal. He had been looking for that journal for a while. Okay, so he said, so he had to take excuse from the consultant and he took a bus, went to the other side of town. That's only where you will be able to make a call, Nitel. So he went to Nitel, got a card, called, joined a long queue, like maybe 1 hour on the queue. Some of you can relate to what I'm talking about. Made the phone call. They said the book was available. He went back and went to plan to travel to Ibadan. So it took him like a week to travel. He still went back and made a call and the woman said the document was available. Okay, so he traveled to Ibadan, took a day on the road. He got there in the evening. It was late. The next day, he went to the he went to the library, and the librarian he was talking to was not around. I think maybe she was not the person on call. The next person was the person on call, and then he asked about the journal. They said the journal is available. They now checked, and for some reason they didn't see the journal. So they checked their records and they saw that one prof had just taken the journal maybe a day before he wanted to borrow it, and then so they gave him that journal, and so they now gave him the office number of the prof, and he should go and check the office. So he went to the office, went to the department, knocked on the door, talked to the secretary of the department. They said, "Which prof? You are talking about this prof? This prof is on sabbatical leave. You can't even find him." And to cut the long story short, this guy had to come back. He had to come back to town, and he didn't get that journal. This is how difficult it used to be in the past to just get one single journal, and maybe he would have even checked inside the journal and even see what he was looking for. But right now, you don't need to do that. You don't need to make any phone calls. You don't need to do anything. You have on the with just your mobile phone. You can just go online. You're connected to the web. You can browse. You can do whatever you want to do. So with that much power that you're given, that comes with a lot of responsibility, and that's why you are not going to come and say you search for stuff you didn't see. You have a very poorly written literature review, and you can't give all those kind of excuses, right? To whom much is given, much is expected. So now you have the power of the world in your hands, at your fingertips. You can carry your small kid whilst you're wearing a singlet and put him on your head, and you are still browsing the internet, and you find all the stuffs you need within 1, 2, 3, maximum maybe in 10-20 minutes. If you know what you're doing, you find what you need for your work, and then you're through. But if you don't know what you're doing, then you're going to be wasting a lot of time and wasting efforts. Okay. The problem with the internet and why you need to search online is there are so many materials that are plagiarized. If you have $50 now, you can publish an article in a in an international journal. International journal. I'm going to air quote this, quotation, international journal. So one funny guy in Pakistan just sits down in his room and sets up one beautiful design, uses CorelDRAW to do some solid designs, put up some pages, and then he says you have one international journal. You send your stuff, and then you get it published. So imagine how many people are publishing all sorts of rubbish. So if you don't know how to search online, if you don't know the correct places to search, if you don't know the correct websites to go, then you're going to be searching and be getting very falsified information that will screw up your research, that will mess you up so badly. And by the time you go and present yourself for exams, or you present yourself for anything that is peer reviewed, you're going to find out that all what you have done has been flawed, especially if you are using that stuff and you're using their methodology and whatever. This is not methodology that has been tried. There are a lot of predatory materials online. So you need to know where to search. You don't just go and search and be happy that you have found something, and then you go and present this to the college, or you go and present this to wherever you're going to present your stuff. There's so much rubbish that is online. Any idiot can stand up today. In 1 minute, I can set up a website and put up anything I want to put up. So you need to know where to search, and that's why this is important. Okay. Yeah, and this is similar to what I'm just going to piggyback on what I've just said for this third point. You only find authentic resources on some specific websites, and most resources are now stored on databases, and you need to know how to search using that database. You won't just go to a database like Pubmed or EBSCOhost or Embase or Hinari and just search anything. You won't find anything. Meanwhile, this database has over 10,000 journals, not 10,000 articles, 10,000 journals. And each journal probably has maybe 100 or 200 episodes or 200 supplements or whatever that they've had. So you can talk, we're talking of millions and millions and millions of articles. And so if you go and search a database that is a health-related database, and you're looking for something, and you say you don't find health-related, for God's sake, you're probably studying a disease that was just discovered yesterday, or maybe you're the one that just discovered that disease. And if really you have searched and you don't find really, then please go and look for another topic. It's not too late. You're just doing your literature review now, probably. Go and look for another topic, because you're going to get frustrated in the process. You're not going to be able to write a correct literature review. You are not going to be able to discuss your work. And that's how serious it is. So like I said, in your adult life, anything you are doing, please learn how to do it. There's a skill in which you need to know how to, you need to have. It's a competency you need to have to be able to search online. You can't just go to any website and search. So with all that is being said, there are 8 steps for searching for literature online. I am not going to lay ownership to these steps, because it is a combination of, you probably not see it as 8 steps anywhere. It's a combination of, and that's why I have all rights reserved, but it's a combination of steps that other people too have brought up together, and then I've added them together, added my own stuff. So I'm adapting and putting in a format that people will understand a little better, because it's a topic that a lot of people avoid. People just dodge away from it. Okay, so there are 8 steps that you need to follow when you're searching for literature online. And we're going to quickly go through it so that we have time now for people to ask questions, and then we can quickly run a demo. Okay, now, like I said, it may seem rather extensive, but please just follow me, follow along. It's quite easy. Initially, maybe if you have first been exposed to these steps, they may seem a little daunting, right? But it's easy, man. And people that know me and people that follow me on YouTube, they know my slogan. It's easy peasy, right? So the first step is to identify your topic of interest. Everybody on this call most likely has a topic, and will most likely have multiple topics in future. So first of all is to identify the topic. Some people don't like the word topic, so they like to use the word title. So whichever one. If you're probably writing manuscript, you are going to be thinking of a title. If you're probably writing a dissertation, you're probably going to be thinking of a topic. Difference of opinion among the scholars, but nothing too much to worry about. So just identify your topic of interest. The next thing is determine your specific objectives, because the topic might be very broad. And for some reason, which is well known to you and known to even the people that you're probably going to be presenting your work to, this topic is so broad that you need to put it in some specific objectives. Those objectives will help you to identify the scope of the work, so that you don't go out of scope. Okay, so even from the topic that you have, it might look very simple, but just identify your specific objectives from that topic. And I'm sure a lot of people have been through this stage or have passed this stage. Okay, then this is where it starts in earnest. You have to identify keywords. Now, some people don't know the reason why you have to do this, but I'll say this very quickly. If you are searching for something, then there are some words that are important in that search. If you don't put those words, your search is not going to make any meaning. Okay, so those words are called keywords. They're the most important thing. If you're doing something on COVID-19, you're not going to be interested in any other article that is not really on COVID-19. If you're doing something on COVID-19 vaccination, for example, you're not going to be interested in any article that is on another vaccination of another, depending on your scope. Okay, so the keyword there is going to be COVID-19 and maybe vaccination. You're not going to be interested in the pathogenesis of COVID-19, even though vaccination has some things to do with immunology and the rest like that. But you're probably going to be interested in, maybe you're interested in vaccination rates or vaccination coverage or people, So what are those keywords that without those words, what you're searching for is just going to be a kind of ordinary search or a kind of uncustomized search, and put it that way. So identify the keywords. The next thing is to generate synonyms for those keywords, because even though these are the main words that you are searching for, these words might not be called the same way by different people. Remember one of the points I made, that research is done all over the world. So you want to see what people are doing in China. You want to see what people are doing in Saudi Arabia, Canada, and the rest like that. In Canada, they might not be saying COVID-19. They might be calling it coronavirus disease. They might be calling it SARS-CoV-2. Some people even put N. Anybody knows what that N is for? Where they put N? What does that N? So you come out come off mute, please, and They put one small n. It's not even capital N, it's small n. Anybody knows what that n is? When you see 2019, how do they even put it again? Can anybody remember? Khadija is off mic.
Someone has written in the chat box, novel.
Novel, yes.
Novel.
So if you are just saying coronavirus, some people don't know what you are saying. Some people are that specific. So if your keywords is COVID-19, for example, one of your keywords COVID-19, you need to also search for documents that have coronavirus, that have SARS-CoV-2, that has SARS-CoV, that has novel coronavirus. Okay? So that's why you need to generate synonyms. Then now you search your synonyms as well as your keywords together. So this is where the searching begins. So you can see the first 4 steps is you just setting up the environment for you to do search. But a lot of us, we just have our topic. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. You're telling your supervisor you're happy the guys approve your topic. You just go to Google and just put it in and say you didn't find anything. Are you serious? You must be a joker, a real life joker. You have to set the environment for you to even do the search in the first place. Okay, so then you search for the synonym separately, and then you combine the separate searches into one single search. All right, put them together, all right, into one single search. And then finally, even after you have done that, because you may still find some things that are not very relevant. And for instance, imagine you doing a search and you have 4,500 results. Haba. You know, how much time will you have to go through the whole 4,500 results? You know, that's still not a very specific search, because how many references will you even write in your work? Maybe you max, maybe you write, if it's college, maybe you write 150 or 200 max, you know. So you are searching something, you are seeing 4,500. You still know that search is still not very specific. So you can apply filters that will help you streamline. Maybe in the last 5 years, the last 10 years, you know, in the college, a lot of times they ask for you to be specific with regards to, they look at your references and see how many of them are beyond 10 years. And if it's too much, they can mark you down, especially at the level of proposal. So you can apply some filters that helps you to streamline it to a particular time, particular language, particular place. If you're interested in Nigeria or Sub-Saharan Africa, you just only want stuff in Sub-Saharan Africa. Okay. And then lastly, you save. This is where people even mess the whole thing up. You searched. You say, Kai, oh, this is good. You can see a lot of stuff. And then you save it somewhere on your downloads or somewhere. And then you come back after and you start looking for it. And then you search again. And when you search, you say, look at some good stuff. This guy, what you search, or you are saying is good stuff, is what you saw like 3 days ago, and you didn't save it properly. And you are thinking you have seen one new stuff. You know, so these are the 8 steps. I'm not going to lay ownership to them, but I think I contributed quite an extent. And that's why you can see at the bottom of this slide, I'm saying all rights reserved. All right, soon going to be published. So hopefully my rights can still be reserved. And I'm going to acknowledge the people that also contributed to this. Okay, so these are the 8 steps. Identify your topic of interest, determine your specific objectives, identify keywords, generate synonyms, search for each synonym separately, combine the search into a single search, apply filters, and save. Now, each of these things have a way in which you need to do them. So we're just going to quickly talk about that very, very, very quickly. So the first here is to identify your topic of interest. So I'm just giving an example. In our demo now, we'll see people can bring up examples and we can just quickly rattle and see how it goes. But someone is doing barriers and enablers of COVID-19 vaccination uptake in Nigeria. Okay, so this is the person's topic. All right, so the first step, identify the topic. We have a very good topic. It's clear what the person wants to do. He wants to find out barriers, enablers, COVID-19 vaccination uptake in Nigeria. All right, so the next thing we will want to do is, let's put this topic above so that we can see it properly. And then in our second step, we're going to be putting up our specific objectives, right? So, and if we're putting up specific objectives, sorry, I need to hide this panel. This panel. Okay, good. All right, so you determine your specific objectives. And to determine your specific objective, this is left to you, all right? But for me, if I'm going to determine the objectives that are here, depending on I might say the first objective here might be to identify barriers of COVID-19 vaccination uptake in Nigeria. And then can anybody guess what the second objective might be? I'm not going to be able to monitor the chat. I'm using only one screen here. So if you put anything in the chat, unfortunately I might not be able to see it. I'm using a small screen here. Yeah, so can anybody just guess? Oh, very good, very good, very good. So to identify enablers of COVID-19. So you see how simple it is, right? If there were going to be a third objective, can anybody think about what this third objective can be?
To identify the solution to both the barriers and enablers.
Okay, so very good. So why I'm saying this is it can be anything, because usually when you write a topic or a title is broad. By the time you state your objectives, it's specific. So right now, this title is just talking about generally barriers and enablers. It could come in any format. COVID-19 vaccinations. So you might still want to, okay, you know about the barriers and the enablers. You want to go further ahead rather than just doing the research and saying, these are the barriers, these are the enablers. And then you make recommendations that we should find out the solution for this. Someone can decide within the same topic to ask some questions about what people think are the solutions to this. And then you have a third objective. So I hope this is clear, where I made mention of the fact that your topic is broad. And by the time you come to your objectives, you are trying to streamline and put a scope to the work that you are doing. And once you put a scope, then you are good to go. Okay, so that's that for the objectives. The third step is to identify the keywords. Okay, so we're going to just pick one of the objectives. You can have many objectives. Some of you guys have 4 or 5 objectives. Some of you even have an objective that says to determine the factors or the predictors of, COVID-19 vaccination uptake in Nigeria. You have a lot of objectives like that. For each of your objective, you need to identify what is the keyword. And if you remember the last seminar that we had, where I was talking about your topic and your objectives, if by the time you finish doing a literature search and you don't find very much about that particular objective, please expunge that objective and expunge it from even the title if it's part of the title. Because if you don't have anything to show for literature, then in a training like the college, it might not pass through your proposal, because they'll come and say this whole objective you checked, in your literature review, you just wrote like 2 or 3 lines. Say, excuse me, sir, there's no literature on this. That's what you wrote in your literature review, for God's sake. So that's why you have to take each objective one by one and then identify the barriers to identify the keywords to this objectives. Okay, so far so good. I hope nobody's lost, because I'm almost through. I think I have just 4 more slides or so.
We are following you, sir. Okay,
very good, very good. So if I were to ask you guys, because this is supposed to be interactive, can you identify what are the keywords in this particular objective? And I feel just tempted to just carry this whole thing and just dump it on Google and just search. Maybe some things will come out. Some things will come out, but you probably see probably like 20 million responses. A lot of them are just irresponsible answers and just some crazy stuff that some crazy guys. So you even start seeing things coming from Twitter and all this stuff. So can we identify what are the keywords in this particular
barriers?
Okay, very good. Barriers, I agree with you. COVID-19.
COVID-19.
Very good, very good.
COVID-19.
What else?
Vaccination.
Awesome. What else?
Nigeria.
Very good. What else?
Uptake.
Uptake. Uptake, very good. So you guys are following. I think we can even, Khadija, I think we're through. We can end here. And if there are no questions, we can close for the night. I told you I have something at 9 o'clock. What's the time now? I have just 20 more minutes because people are good. People know where we're going. All right. So we have barriers. We have COVID-19. We have vaccination. We have uptake. Uptake is important because that's the main thing. Because there are so many other things about COVID-19 vaccination. It might even be about knowledge of COVID-19 vaccination. That's not what we're doing here. It's the uptake of the vaccination. So it's important. It's one of, there's something like a main keyword, we'll be putting uptake, and if I say which ones are the most important here now, we can start trying to remove out some stuff. We can drop Nigeria, we can drop, barriers, and say maybe because we still have to talk about uptake, maybe we'll set your updates, we can still see things on barrier like that. Okay, but these are very important things. Step 4 is for us to now generate synonyms for each keyword. Now, the idea here is very simple. If we have this step 1, we started, let me see, do I have a highlighter here? Okay, good. So step 1, we had our title. Okay. Step 2, we had our specific objectives, which are these ones. Step 3, now we identified the keywords, which is barrier, COVID-19, vaccination, uptake, and then Nigeria. And then what we want to now do is now we're going to bring out this barrier here and see what are those other words that people can use for barrier. The reason why we're doing this is that if we go and just search only barrier, other things that people used to also talk about barrier, maybe they will even say factors, some people will say so many things. So you have some people, some research that their title itself and in the wordings of their work, they did barriers, but they never mentioned barriers for once. It's not even part of their English vocabulary. So you would miss those articles. You will miss those articles if you search, So the best thing is to have even those, among those keywords, look for synonyms for each of those keywords. So our first keyword here is barriers. Can anybody tell me what a synonym for barrier is? Feel free to check your mobile phone if you know how to check for synonyms or anything.
Hindrance.
Feel free to check. Hindrance, okay, good. So that's one. I didn't even think about that one. Hindrance, very good. I like that.
Chief, we can say mitigating
Sorry?
factors.
Mitigating factors. That's serious. That's some heavy stuff. Mitigating, I like that.
Mitigating
what else?
factors.
Limitations. Challenges. Very good.
Or impediments.
Impediments. Who are all these talking? Unfortunately, I cannot see the. I cannot see the people that are talking. I'm just showing my screen. Can you even see my video? Is my video feed showing? Okay. So obstacles. Very good. So what you do is you bring out all those things. In some cases, reasons might be barriers. What are the reasons for uptake? And then they'll start mentioning the barriers upside down. They'll start saying, it's because it's cheap. You know that then if it's expensive, it might be a barrier. Just like that. Someone mentioned challenges, very good. Someone said obstacles, very good. Difficulty. What are the difficulties in, you going to collect COVID-19 vaccine? Now, Chairman, you have not collected COVID, your vaccination. What are those difficulties that you're having? Somebody will present it as a full topic, difficulties in obtaining COVID, and then you can relate to it and put it as part of your study. Deterrence. I don't know if anybody mentioned deterrence, but people mentioned other very important things that I never even thought about. Okay. Now, don't think I'm one kind of smart guy, because some people have this kind of tendency of thinking that I'm just one kind of smart guy from one other planet. I've never even left Earth before, even though I might follow Elon Musk to Mars soon. I think I might get a space in a seat in one of their their expeditions they're going to do in Mars. But I'm just a same ordinary person like you. So these words didn't come out from my head. I don't have my head. I'll use my head to do something better than doing things that a computer can do for me. So can anybody just think about where I got these words from? Anybody, can you think about where I got these words? Some of them I thought about it. Yeah, you can use the thesaurus. Yeah, you can use thesaurus on your Microsoft Word if you're using Microsoft Word. Where else?
Dictionary.
Dictionary, yes. Where else?
You can get it from the
Guys,
internet.
yes, internet. Google is your friend. Google is your friend. So what you just do is look at what I did. I just said barrier and I took a screenshot. I said barrier, synonym. And Google is crazy, man. Very crazy stuff. And the kind of AI that is embedded in Google now is very, very scary. You can't see my screen?
Again, yes.
We can see.
What's happening to who is not being able to see my screen? Is that Jafar? Or who? I can't even see the people that are talking.
It's Kenga that is talking.
Can you see now, Benga? Benga, you might have to look at your settings because
Okay,
I didn't touch
I'll do
anything,
that.
man. Yeah, I didn't touch anything.
I'll do that. Just go
All
ahead.
right, so
Thank you.
all right, so this is what I just did. I just did barrier and synonym. And look, for everybody on this call, you see this Google, right? This Google is, I think, is like an evil spirit, you know, because within this Google that you see here and this thing that looks like a capsule where you write in this search bar where you write in, there's almost nothing that you cannot do within this stuff. When you get back home, just try, you have one calculation that you want to do, 23 times 1000. Just type it inside there, type it in words, type it in numbers, type it anyhow, and see within a second what comes out. It's crazy. So we have so much power, but unfortunately, with all this much power that we have, people are still very, very, very dull. People are still very, 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 people with, this power requires there's a lot of responsibility that comes with this power. But most of us, we have access to these things, but our productivity is zero. Our ability to even do things have even further diminished. Most of us spend all our time doing things that are not necessary. These things can be very distracting, and then at the end of the day, you can come and say you searched online and you didn't find anything. You probably didn't use the correct methodology. Okay, so we checked, we had a topic, we identified the objectives, we went ahead and we identified the keywords. And then even within each keyword, we looked at those things that are that are synonyms, right? We generated synonyms for each keywords because we don't want to make a mistake of even leaving anything out. We want a situation whereby by the time we finish our search, I'm telling you, we are sure that there's nothing left. If anybody wants to threaten you, then let him also go and search and see, except if what he's saying is not published. And I just want to also talk a little about what I think it was Khadija that was saying at the beginning. If someone's an authority on a subject, the person also should have published widely. The person should have published internationally and locally. So I don't see a situation where you have an examiner because you didn't see his work, he wants to hold you responsible, except if he has also published in the correct places. Because you see some people go and publish in one dead journal like this, and you are saying you are a specialist. You are no specialist. If your works cannot stand the test of international peer review, then you still have a long way to go. So because you published in some local journals, you're paying 50,000, or some dead journals that you're publishing in, they even published it because of maybe they even know you, the editor knows you, and then you want to hold somebody responsible for not knowing that you are a specialist. Please, it takes two to tango, and there are two sides also to a coin. So we expect also that the other people too that are claiming to be specialists should have easily published, so that when you check, if someone is checking a mega database that has millions or close to hundreds of millions of articles, and the person cannot see your work, and you want to use that as a yardstick to fail that person, then you have a fundamental problem. All right, so I honestly don't think examiners will fail you on that stuff. But yeah, you deserve to be failed if something is as easy as you just search online and you see it's everywhere, and then you still say you don't see it. It's not it doesn't work out. It doesn't speak well of you. Okay, so another thing you can also do is, I'll show you how to also search by author. There are a lot of tools that you can search by author. So if you have an idea, you will not know who your examiner is, but if you have an idea of a particular author, his name, yeah, it might just be by mistake, you know the person, then you can search by author to see whether you can get those works. So, but that's by the way. So let's continue. Step 4, for COVID-19, you can have COVID. Some people just write COVID. I hope you know if you write COVID is wrong, but I've seen some articles, local articles, that they just write COVID. Right? If you write COVID, you don't know what you're talking about, but we'll still search, because if it's published in a reputable peer-reviewed journal, maybe at that time that it was published, people were still just not too clear about the nomenclature COVID-19, COVID this. So can anybody think about any other thing that we can add? Any other synonym to COVID-19?
SARS-CoV.
SARS-CoV-2, SARS-CoV, yes, SARS-CoV-2. What else?
Coronavirus.
Coronavirus, very good. What else? What else? Okay, so we have coronavirus, SARS-CoV, 2019 nCoV, and so I did not just think about these words myself. I'm not a smart guy like that. I'm using technology, you know. All I did was to go to the National Library of Medicine. The National Library of Medicine has one of the best repositories for medical terms. In fact, they have a super specialized method of categorizing medical terms, and they call it MESH, medical subject headings. So they have a specialized team of individuals that look at each and every article that you see that has been published by the National Library of Medicine in any of their databases, whether it's Pubmed, Pubmed Central, or any of their Medline, any of those their databases. They have a team. This is not AI, it's real life individuals that sit down and look at each article and give it a main team, and give it each word, give it a medical heading, that by the time you are searching for that word as a main word, you can see the different words that medically people will also use, and people have also used to represent that word. They are called MESH terms, medical subject heading. You can go to the National Library of Medicine and put in the MESH database. I'm going to show you how to do that. And then search a particular term, if it's a medical term, right? So here now, in all these other terms here that we have, barriers to COVID-19 vaccination uptake in Nigeria, they are not really medical terms, all of them. COVID-19 is like the main medical term there. So I put it up in the National Library of Medicine MESH database. It's a mega database of medical terms that are made by the individuals, some folks at the National Library of Medicine, to make searching for some particular stuff very specific. And it's a very, very intuitive feature that this has. Okay, so you just go and search for COVID-19, and then you see so many stuffs that come out. These are some of the things I saw. I saw a long list, but I just picked out a couple of them. COVID-19 without the dash, SARS-CoV-2 infection, SARS-CoV-2 infection. Some of them put infection, SARS-CoV-2, 2019 novel coronavirus disease, 2019 dash nCoV, you know, like that. So just pick up a couple of ones, common ones that you know about, and then put them in your setup, okay? And then, so imagine we had just 4 of them. We have barriers, and we talked about reasons, challenges, obstacles, difficulty. We had COVID-19. We talked about, we saw COVID, we saw coronavirus, SARS-CoV, SARS-CoV-2, 2019 nCoV. For vaccination, can anybody guess what? I don't think we have much vaccination, but what other synonyms comes with vaccination?
Maybe immunization.
Immunization, very good. But I hope you know immunization is not the same thing as vaccination, right? Everybody knows, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, what's the difference? Anybody, what's the difference between immunization and vaccination? I know there are no public health guys. There are no public health guys on the call.
Vaccination is receiving like a substance or part
I
of
think
the organism that is being protected from, while immunization is the body's response.
Very good,
That
very good. You have an idea. Very, very good, very good. What other stuff can we use?
I think
What of inoculation? Can we use inoculation?
yes.
So what is the difference between inoculation and vaccination and immunization? Okay, let's leave that one for those public health guys. When I checked, I saw immunotherapy, I saw primary prevention. Some people, when they just talk about primary prevention, the only thing I saw an article that says barriers to primary prevention of COVID-19, and everything the person talked about in the article is about vaccination. You understand? So if I was checking by title, I probably wouldn't have seen that article. And the article was very good. In fact, it had lots of barriers that you could, from finance to insurance to just name it. Okay, so sometimes it might not be just that word. It might be a combination of words that people use to identify that. Then we have uptake. Anybody on uptake? Uptake.
Receive.
So receive, yeah, we have receive, you have acceptance, you even have utilization. Some people, the whole thing about uptake is not in their English vocabulary, is utilization. What are the barriers to utilizing COVID-19 vaccination services in a country or in a state or whatever? And then you start to see all sorts of stuff. Funny enough, I saw this. I didn't. Is this a word? But I saw it on Google. Take up. It's a stuff. And when you search, you see how funny it is. Why people can use some words. So sometimes just even flipping the words can be a synonym. Okay. So our step 5 is now searching. So all the things we did ahead was just to prepare us for this beautiful, grandiose, very nice grand search. And we first had the topic. We did the objectives. We also brought out the keywords, and then from the keywords, we brought out the synonyms. And now we're searching for each synonym specially, separately. Now, like I said earlier, searching is a skill you have to learn how to do. It's not something you just go and just start searching. You will not find anything reasonable, okay? Or you'll not find what you're expected to find. So there are specialized methods of searching, okay? The first one is called searching using Boolean terms. Boolean terms. These are terms and, or, not, like a couple of other ones, but these are the main ones. And, or, not, So if you search using these terms, they help to make your search more specialized and make your search also capture the areas in which you want to capture. The next is called truncation. And with truncation, it helps you to find all the other versions of a synonym or a keyword. So if there are other versions, then like imagine we're doing something about intubation, right? The guys in anesthesia, they are doing something about intubation, the different intubation techniques and what are the issues with intubation. And instead of you to say intubate, intubation, and giving all those and start searching with all those different terminologies that are related to intubate, right? We can just write the first important words of intubate, like INTUB, and then every other thing will be intubation, intubate, intubated, and all those other stuffs. And we can truncate it at that point. We'll put a truncation there. So it will search for anything that is related to that particular word. That's called truncation. And then the next one is called quotation. Here, even in when you're writing, when you're quoting someone, you're like taking it verbatim. So you have the person's words in quote, So if you are searching for if you are searching for vaccine is one thing, but if you are searching for vaccination uptake and you want to find somewhere they wrote vaccination uptake in the title of the work, in that sequence, vaccination first, then uptake together. Then you put vaccination uptake in quotation marks. And it will come, what you're searching will bring out vaccination uptake, not just vaccination separately and uptake separately. So sometimes you are searching something that has two words like primary prevention. If you say you search primary separately and search prevention separately and then combine them together, you might not get what you're looking for. You want to see somewhere where primary prevention was actually mentioned. And if that's the case, then you put it in quotation marks. Okay. And then the last one is in parentheses. And in parentheses, what for those of us that know BODMAS or PEMDAS in the US, they use PEMDAS. All right. I think UK and Nigeria and all our guys, we use BODMAS. Okay. You know that B is what? Who knows what that B is in BODMAS?
Bracket.
Brackets, right? Good. So they call it parentheses also, right? So and that's PEMDAS. That P there is parentheses. That when you put something in brackets in BODMAS, what does that mean? Why is the B coming first? If you remember our maths. I know the guys in radiology are doing a lot of physics and some small mathematics. Maybe they might know why B is the first thing in BODMAS. What does that mean? Hey, what's happening?
Remove the bracket first.
Yeah, it's going to deal with, if you have a combination of searches, it's going to deal with the ones in bracket first before any other search. Okay, so if we're searching for barriers to COVID-19 and I put vaccination uptake in bracket, it's going to first find vaccination uptake and then now start adding all the other ones. That's how those search engines work. Okay, so we'll search using specialized methods, and this is where I'm sure a lot of people you need to practice a little and you get the hang of it, but it's very, very simple. A lot of search engines, especially the mega bases, they have a way in which you can put all of this and you see how it works properly. Finally is now combining all of them into a single search. So we have had our title, we have our objectives, we've broken it down to keywords, we've searched the keywords using specialized methods, and then we have all of them together. Now we want to search them all in one. And this time, imagine that we have everything about barriers in one block, different searches, we've put them together. Anything that is on this database that has barriers on it, that has reasons, that has challenges, that has obstacles, that has difficulty, that has deterrents, just bring it out. We don't want to know what, just once it's written there, it's written in the title, it's written anywhere, just keep it for us first. Then we go and we say, anything in this whole database that has COVID-19, that has COVID, that has SARS-CoV, that has respiratory tract infection, just bring it out for us. Secondly, anything that is about vaccination, bring it out. Anything that talks about updates, all the remaining millions and billions, keep them aside. But you see, these ones, I want to focus on these ones that have all these things. So I want to now focus on one that has all these things with barriers and COVID-19. But that's not enough. I want to also see the ones that has barriers, COVID-19, everything about COVID-19, and you are now talking about vaccination and immunization and immunotherapy and inoculation and primary prevention, and now talking about uptake and utilization and acceptance and use. Once you are able to combine all of them together, it's becoming very, very, very specific. So by the time you do the first, when you're checking for synonyms, you might be seeing millions. By the time you start combining these things together, it's now giving you a smaller space where you see, maybe at the end of the day, you're seeing 40 articles or 50 articles. You started with 1 million or 10 million, and now you're just seeing 40 articles. Then you're getting closer home. Okay? So by step 6, you are getting closer. You started combining and you're now doing a single search. And then finally, you would now apply some filters, because even after you have gotten those numbers, you still want to maybe be a little more specific. You know, there are some things that are left out. You want to apply filters. If you are in radiology, maybe you want to only just tick out the ones that are radiology related to radiology, for example. If you are in you are in epidemiology, you just want to bring out the ones that are in epidemiology. If you are only interested in just 5 years from publication, you want to just check out those. So after searching specifically in step 6, you can now apply a filter to that result. So you filter it to refine it. You know what a filter does? It refines something. So you refine that search finally. And one of the ways, or the ways in which you can do this, is by filtering by type of article. Imagine that you, after you finish your search, you are now getting 4,000 records or 5,000 records. You can go through 5,000 records. You know, let's tighten the noose. Let's filter a little. So we can filter by type of article. So what if we filter by systematic review? I'm sure everybody knows what a systematic review is. Or systematic review and meta-analysis. Do you know if you filter by systematic review and meta-analysis and you get only 1 or 2, you have almost finished your work? Because that particular systematic review now reviewed so many other articles and came and published in a peer-reviewed journal. So you have, if for your literature review, if you have 2 or 3 systematic reviews for the whole literature, you have finished your literature review. So imagine you have a chance to get a single article that reviewed so many other articles on the topic you are looking for. You just go and sleep. You go and sleep till next week. I'm not advising you to go and sleep till next week, but you know, you are just you're done. You know, if your supervisor asks you that, how far have you? You are still searching. You have finished searching since, so you know, you say I'm still searching. Maybe that's the time you want to use and rest a little so that you don't get too much stressed up. I'm not teaching you to be dubious, but I'm just saying if you get a systematic review, you are good to go. Okay, so you can filter by that, and then you can also filter by language. Sometimes some of these databases that are using have French, they have some other languages. You can filter and say, okay, you only want English language stuff. The stuff reduces a little. Okay, and you can filter by year of publication. There are so many things. If you are a vet, we don't have vets on the call, but I'm sure some people will be watching this video somewhere, and you can filter by type of specimen, by animal, or by stuff. I hope some of you know that even animals have COVID. COVID also affects animals. But that's by the way. Okay, so that's that. Step 7, and then last but not the least, which is super important, is you need to save. Okay, so you can save to email, right? If you want to save to your email, or save to a reference manager. This is the best because you need to be organized. You're going to be doing a lot of things, and even as a resident, because a lot of people on this call are residents. As a resident doctor, you're working and at the same time doing your research. That's a very difficult thing to do. You know, you don't want your patients to suffer, and at the same time, you yourself also you have to improve. You have to finish your training and go to the next phase of your life. So if you are not organized, you are finished. So you shouldn't even start a research without having something that organizes you. So there are so many different reference managers that are not just only reference managers alone. They are actually research managers. They can help you to manage the whole thing. So all your documents that you're dealing with, they are saved in one place. You don't need to go and start checking your documents folder and saying, and I downloaded this thing some days ago. Everything you are doing is just in one place for you, such that you can annotate, you can check your PDFs. If you want to put a video, you want to put anything in one place. So you can save to a reference manager, which is very, very helpful. And that's a nifty feature that some of these databases help you to do. And then if you're browsing on advanced data sets, on advanced databases like Pubmed, they have what is called collections. So, but you need to have signed up. You need to have a profile. You need to have an account with them. Then you can save it with their cloud. And anytime you check on it, you can see it. Okay, so that's step 8, and these are all the steps that you need to follow. First of all, you have your topic. Right, from the topic you have your objectives. From your objectives, you bring out your keywords. From the keywords, you search all the keywords separately, and you search using specialized methods. And then after searching, you filter your results by the type of article or language or any other method you want to use to filter. And then you save, and that's all. Easy peasy. All right. Now it took me some time explaining this, but the process is actually quite straightforward. I'm going to pause here and see if we have any questions, and then we'll see if we can also quickly do a short demo. So this is save. I think I've passed this slide. All right. So this is in a nutshell how you can do this search. And I'm sure by now most of you are already thinking that you're not sure of whether you have even searched or not, you know. But I'm going to pause and entertain some questions, and then let's see if time still permits. Like I said, I have, oh my God, I'm already even 15 minutes off time. I have someone waiting for me at 9 o'clock for a meeting, and it's quite important. Okay. All right. So any questions?
Yes, sir.
Yes, go ahead.
Thank you very much for the presentation. Just a quick one. And when you do a literature search, you find out that some articles that will come out is only the abstract that you see. You won't be able to have access to the whole literature. So if you read the abstract and you have information that you need from there, can you reference that literature even though you've not read the whole work?
Who is speaking? Let me see who is speaking. Is that okay? I can see now. It's Sam, right? Okorafo.
Yes, sir, Sam Okorafo.
That's the best. I spent the whole week listening to questions from different parts of the world. That's like the best question I've heard in a long time. Khadija, you will need to give this guy an award or something, man.
He's
Very
an
good
amazing guy.
question.
He's an amazing guy.
Cool guy. I like that. All right, so let's go. All right, your next question, Sam.
Okay, my next question is, okay, if you open an article, you see other references inside the article, just similar to what you just said about if you said article on systematic review. That means there are other articles there. Even though you have not read the other articles, but they have reviewed it in that systematic review, will you be able to say, take all the other ones inside the article under your references, or you just put that one systematic review article as your reference?
Okay, this is good. This is very good. I hope Sam is not in contact with some of my students or some of my residents that they are now feeding him, because I'm very emphatic about stuff like this. So I'll start with your second question. Never, ever, ever, ever cite something you have not seen. If you have not seen it, don't cite it. Never, ever cite something you have not seen like this. If you have not seen it, because someone cited it, then you will now cite the citing that somebody cited. Man, that's cross-reference. That's the worst form of cross-referencing. So don't make the mistake of citing something you have not seen, because a lot of people can be dubious. The peer review process is an awesome process, right? But it still has some flaws, right? And it might not be 100% correct. So it might not be 100% flaw-proof. Let me give you an example. There are some guys now, I caught somebody doing, okay, the guy was trying to play with my intelligence, right? And he doesn't know IT has levels. So the guy sent his work, and then I did a plagiarism match test. It's called PMT. You use very sophisticated software. This software, the amount of money they spend on the software, just developing the algorithm that is used for the matching and how it looks at different works online, where it searches to find out whether somebody has plagiarized or not, right? The AI that this artificial intelligence that this software uses is amazing. But do you know this software, after I searched this guy's work, this software was showing that this guy had a test similarity score of, I think, 0.5%. That's like, it's crazy.
Amazing.
It's crazy, man. That guy, that guy is a typical Nigerian. We Nigerians, we know how to break systems. Just don't show a Nigerian a system. Hey, if you want to show anybody a system, ask the person, is he Nigerian? Ask for his international passport first before you reveal. Do you know what this guy was doing? This guy figured out a way of breaking the AI in Turnitin is worth millions of dollars. This guy found a way of breaking he used Microsoft Word. Let me don't even say this, because this video might
teach us now.
I should teach you. You see this Nigerian lady, huh? You want to be dubious by any means necessary. Most Nigerians be dubious. Can't we just do things the normal way? So please don't be dubious. Just do things the normal way. All right. So never ever quote something you have never seen, please, because somebody can say he did a systematic review, and because he wanted his result to tilt towards one direction. You know, systematic reviews can be very, very dangerous. They looked at so many works over the past years, and then, in fact, the ones that have meta-analysis are even more critical because they can combine different results and now give a final result. So imagine somebody said it was high here, another person said it was low, and you're combining all those results together and saying it is low. You know, you are really dependent on the kind of meta-analysis you have done, and it has far-reaching implications. You know, it has far-reaching implications. So some people just go because they want the result to be tilted to their own line of thinking. They are very dubious. They will just put in one fake study. Everything is fake. Look, there's one Nigerian guy. Nigerians, man. Only God can forgive us. This guy, only God can forgive us. This guy published 16 different articles, 16 different publications in internationally reputable journals. And this guy published it whilst he was in university. I'm not going to mention his name, whilst he was in university. And 7 years after, these journals, I'll show you some of these snapshots. It was 7 years after that these journals identified when some of these AI stuffs are improving. They identified that this guy plagiarized 100%. He plagiarized, and then what he did was he was just changing the figures. In that other story, they said the prevalence is 20%. He says his own is 21.5%. The idiot even put 21.5%. He put 0.5 there, you know. And so the guy they had to retract all those stuff. And when they interviewed the guy, because they had to look for the guy and interviewed him, he said he didn't know that is wrong to do something like that.
Wow.
You see Nigerians, you know, and people have used his own fake study and used them to. So once you need to see it, and you need to see where it's published before you now quote it. Where is it published? And because, like I told you before I started, some people, once person sits down in India or Pakistan and sets up, his whole journal is his laptop. That's a big journal that you are seeing with plenty articles inside. And it's a lie. The one single article there is not true. You see the reference in Vancouver style, everything that you need in a reference. It is a big lie. You know. So please, that's one. On the other question that you asked, I'm really happy that you brought it up because I didn't even mention it at all. Who knows where? There's a hierarchy of materials that you can reference. There's a hierarchy of materials that you can reference. Some have the best level of evidence and the most current level of evidence. Let me don't say the best, but the most current level of evidence, followed by others. So maybe I'll send this to Khadija. She can share with you guys. It's a pyramid. You know, you have some articles. You know, it's in a pyramid. So who knows where is the best place to get the most recent article, the most recent stuff to reference in your work? Who knows where is the best?
Systematic review with meta-analysis.
You have an idea, but that's a journal. That's going to be in a journal. But is there any other place outside the journal that you can get some of this stuff?
Randomized control trials.
That's going to be published in a journal also. So I'm saying, like, in a place where in a gathering. Let me put it like gathering. I've already given you the answer. You know, so the topmost in conference, the topmost level of evidence comes in a conference, from a conference. And in a conference, you will see only abstracts, right? I'm not talking about some of our dead conferences. I only mentioned some conferences now, but I'm talking about serious conferences, you know. So the information comes up in a conference first, and then later you hear it's published in Nature or in Lancet or in something, because people they want intellectuals to see it in that conference and make some comments and before they go and publish it. So, and for conferences, you would most likely only see their abstracts, book of abstracts. Most conferences is book of abstracts, and they publish those abstracts. Some conferences are so powerful that they publish the abstracts on their journal. So go and check, right? So even if what you are seeing is in an abstract, please, it is 100% valid. In fact, in a lot of systematic reviews that you will see, if you read their methodology, they used abstracts. I have some guys that are doing a systematic review for a particular study. They're doing something, working together with them. Part of our search strategy is using conference materials, because there are some like there's an AIDS conference. It's called IPAC, right? It's one of the best conferences in the world. It's done in different parts of the world. Different people come, specialists come. They're just talking about AIDS, HIV, AIDS, and the rest. So different people come, not just only physicians, nurses, residents. A lot of people go. It's one of so if that conference has a lot of abstracts. So if you're doing anything on AIDS and you didn't mention stuff from that, because some things in those conferences might never even be published, it might just be there, or it might not be published now, it might be published much later. So if you see stuffs in abstracts, it's good for you to add to your work. Now, I don't know whether the college has any specification that limits that, but even in my own dissertations that I did with the college, you can, because sometimes you might not even have access to the main work, right? You don't have access to the entire work. You have only access to the free version, which is online, which is the abstract. So, but what you're looking for a prevalence, you're looking for barriers. In that abstract, they listed all those barriers there as a summary for of the entire study. So you can pick it there. In fact, they'll list the barriers and mention even the references. They'll mention the percentages. You quote it in your work. It's perfect. And you have your reference for that. The reference can be a conference. The reference can be a journal. The reference can be any of all these amazing areas where you can get information from. Now, don't forget that information that you get online is not only limited to journals and conferences, but it's also it's important if you can get information also from university websites or from government websites. A lot of things, like for us in public health, a lot of the information we get are from government publications, the NCDC, the Federal Ministry of Health, and the rest like that. So, and those things are valid for you to stuff, because you don't expect a body like the NCDC to go and be putting up stuff that is spurious or something. It goes through very, very solid review before it's pasted on their website. And if you remember the last time we spoke about where you should search, and maybe we'll mention it here also. You don't just go to start searching on anywhere. You have to search for using websites that end in .edu or .gov or .org, and those are university websites or government websites or international organizations .int and the rest like that. So Sam, I hope this answers your question. I see another hand. Awesome. I see another hand raised. Our time is fast spent. I want us to do a small demo before we go.
Okay, so Dr. Ajibolu is asking a question that how recent should the reference be? How recent is recent?
Very good. Please, you need to check the requirements for your college. For us in public health, we frown against anything beyond 10 years. And some assessors are a little more specific. They say 5 years. Meanwhile, for some people doing PhDs and other programs, they do a percentage kind of proportion kind of stuff. So they see what proportion of your references are below 10 years and below 5 years. And I think the college in some of the departments are already doing something like that, where they don't want it to exceed 60%. They don't want you to have less than 60% of your references being within the 10 years space. But it's safer for you if you have a lot of publications. It's safer for you to stay within the 5 years space. And then if you search very well, you see a lot of 2022, 2021 stuff. So you shouldn't bother very much, except if you are studying an area where it's not very much is done. So you are relying on something that is 10 years. But if it's an area that has been stuffs that have been done, then we expect you to see things that is recent. So if I where you are, I would say 10 years. But if you can limit within 5 years, then go. So all your searches, try to limit it to 5 years. And then if you don't see anything within 5 years, you can extend to 10 years. But I know they frown against anything that is above 10 years. I hope that answers the question.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. I think we can proceed with the demonstration, sir.
All right. Let me see. And this is not the part that we should rush. Okay. How do I do this? I pray. Okay. Okay. So does anybody have a topic that you want us to use? Do you have like a topic? you want us to use, can you see my screen?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So does anybody have something you want us to try to do rather than using the example I have? Anybody? Okay, so if we don't have, because in the interest of time. Sorry?
Okay. So we can do the prevalence and predators of liver cirrhosis in type 2 diabetic.
Very good, very good. So prevalence and what?
Predator.
And predictors of, all right, so somebody should just note that down. Now, imagine that I wanted to do that study. Let's just start from the level of Google. Let's just start from the level of Google, first of all. And so I told you, don't search on Google because it's dangerous. If you search something on Google, you get so many funny stuff. But for this topic that you mentioned, what is the most important thing there?
Predictors.
Predictors, you said predictors
of liver cirrhosis in type 2 diabetes.
So I think this is really about type 2 diabetics, right? Really about type 2 diabetics. Those are but it's liver cirrhosis that is the main thing we're talking about there, right?
Yes, sir.
Then any other thing is now characterization of the liver cirrhosis, whether it's the prevalence or whether it's the predictors. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
So let's just see if there's any government document that has anything on liver cirrhosis, first of all, just out of curiosity. If you want to do that, if I did liver cirrhosis on Google, this is what I get. 308 million results in 0.58 seconds. Okay, so remember that you're not only going to be writing about just prevalence and predictors, you're still going to be talking about liver cirrhosis, what it is, in your introduction and the rest. So you may not even be so specific. Why I limited that searching to something very, very, very specific is when you want to write your literature review, because we're talking about literature review, you'll be reviewing things based on your objectives. So you have to pick out those objectives and review. But when you want to talk about introduction, chapter 1, and the rest, you can be a little relaxed and loose. But at the same time, you don't want to just go and write anything about literature, about liver cirrhosis from any rubbish website. Okay. So what if we wanted to search liver cirrhosis? Well, we only wanted a .gov results. Only wanted a .gov results. .gov meaning it's a government organization. Okay, so what you do is instead of just saying liver cirrhosis, you say liver cirrhosis and you put what is this? Can you see what I put there?
Yes, sir.
What's that? Is that a colon or a semicolon?
That is colon.
Colon.
Okay, then you now put the dot. You now put the .gov. Is this clear?
Yes, sir.
And then you hit it.
Yes, sir.
Every result that comes out now is a .gov. So let's look. First thing is the National Center for Biotechnological Information, NCBI. That's the guys that have the National Library of Medicine, and their website is .gov. So you can see it here, .gov. Medline.gov. CDC.gov. Does it make any sense?
Yes, I does.
No? Good. So
Yes, sir.
let's
Yes,
say
sir.
we wanted to check, and this, whatever you see here, please just take it hook, line, and sinker. Don't even think about it. Just take it. Because this is a government organization. Some governments are very crazy, but no matter how crazy a government is, when it comes to health stuff and putting things on their website, they don't mess up, because that thing can be used against them. So don't start thinking about one government is corrupt and you start thinking about politics. Forget about all of that. When it comes to stuff like this, there's no play about it. I can tell you for free. Okay. So what if we wanted to do an organization? Can anybody tell me what I'll do?
.org.
.org.
Column.org.
Okay.
O-R-G.
Good. So you guys are specialists now. .org. Let's see what happens. Okay, so you can see this is cleverlandclinic.org. This is Liver Foundation. This Liver Foundation, if you are a real liver person, those guys that know about stuff, I'm sure you know very much about Liver Foundation, not a joke, right? It's the American Liver Foundation.org, you know, and you'll be seeing them. This one is gi.org. I don't know what this is, but this is the American College of Gastroenterology, like that. So what if we wanted, so I'm sure you get the picture.
Yes, sir.
.int.org,
Yes, sir.
.edu. Let's see if there's any educational institution that is doing something about this. Okay, so this, there does seem to be very much coming out from any educational institution. So it's still taking us to the .govs, the .orgs. And okay, we have one from Rochester here, chronic liver disease. They have a health encyclopedia, .edu. Then, so the ones that you are seeing that are coming out also as .org, if you check, they are linked to educational organizations, like Mayo Clinic now is 100%, okay, and the rest like that. So that's how you go by this, and that's by the way. So let's use this guy's example, but this time let's go to PubMed. Now I'm sure a lot of us know about PubMed, right? PubMed has one of the most advanced search engines in the world, right? Through the National Library of Medicine. So if you're searching PubMed, it gives you the chance to do a lot of complex stuff, much more than you can think of. Okay, so if you want to do this on PubMed, you browse PubMed and then you go to PubMed like this. So I'm sure a lot of us know there is PubMed and there's PubMed Central. Does anybody know the difference? Same organization. Does anybody know the difference between PubMed and PubMed Central? Let me help you. If PubMed has 50 million articles, PubMed Central has just like 5 million. And a lot of the articles on PubMed Central, or all the articles on PubMed Central are on PubMed, but not all the articles on PubMed are on PubMed Central. It's related to the question Sam asked earlier. Anybody? All right, so I'll leave you to check that out so we don't waste very much time. I'll leave you to check that out. But you can see PubMed has 34 million. PubMed has 34 million citations for biomedical literature from Medline. Okay, so the main database is Medline. Then you have life science journals and online books and the rest like that. Citations may include links to full text content from PubMed Central. Does this ring a bell now?
Yes, it does.
Good. So what you have on PubMed is just abstracts. Abstracts. Millions and millions of abstracts. But what you have on PubMed Central is the full work, the abstract plus the full work. So if you're looking for full work, don't be going to PubMed and say you're looking for full work. You'll not find. You can find, but it will link you up to PubMed Central. You will find the abstract, but it will link you up to PubMed Central. So if you're doing your part 2 thesis, where would you want to search? PubMed Central or PubMed?
PubMed Central.
Central, sir.
Nobody will follow me and go to PubMed, just PubMed, pubmed.gov. If I were you, I'll do pubmed.gov. You know why? Because I'm going to get a wider range of stuff. And then from pubmed.gov, if I'm looking for a full article, I can see if that article is linked. Because imagine I'm searching something that has 34 million citations. You know, because if you check PubMed Central, you might only see just 4 million, or maybe tops 10 million, and it may not have some of those things that are embedded in PubMed, right? And I will say if you search through 34 million public health or health-related articles, and you don't find what you are looking for, start suspecting that your village people are around the corner. You start suspecting. And if you insist that you want to go ahead, you probably get some issues. I'm not saying this is not the only database, but imagine that you search a database that has 34 million citations, and you are now not seeing anything related to your work, even in the distant. More, please start having a rethink of your life. so don't waste too much time. All right, not to say that you will not find in other places, but this is what is internationally recognized. So you have to start thinking, some of our local journals, unfortunately, are not yet on Pubmed, but a lot of them are moving to Pubmed. MD Khan, if I'm not mistaken, I think they're on Pubmed, and NMA, not sure, Niger Med Journal or something like that. So but that's by the way. Okay, so so now we want to search. How do we do all these steps that we're talking about? We're talking about so many steps, and they don't seem to be anywhere we can do those steps here. Well, if you try doing it here, you need to be a specialist to be able to do it here. People can still do it on this search engine. But if you look below here, there's something that's called advanced. So we have the advanced. So if you click on it, right? If you click on this, let me see, sorry. Okay, so if you click on that, let me go back so you can see what, if you see this advanced here, if you click on it, then it brings you to here. This is the advanced search builder for Pubmed. This is how you can follow those steps one by one. Okay, so here, let me just explain what you see here because our time might go off. Here, you can search by a particular field. So do you want to search by author name? Do you want to search by title? Do you want to search by mesh term? Do you want to search by date? Do you want to search by journal? Leave it by default and say all fields. Here, you can show the kind of Boolean. Remember step 5, 6 that I said you should add some advanced kind of steps. You can search with and, or not. These are the 3 main Boolean operators that I can search with. Okay. Here you have a box that shows what you are querying, and it trains you on how to also query the software on what you should search. And then here is the button that everybody is eager to press, just search. But just not going back to search, there are still some options that you can look into. So because we don't have luxury of time, the person that gave us the topic mentioned, what did he even say? He said prevalence, right? Prevalence, predictors, and what? Of liver cirrhosis among diabetic patients. Is that correct?
Yes, that is why he came.
Okay, so let's start with the first keyword. What's the first keyword there? Because let's go to our objectives first. We want to find out prevalence of liver cirrhosis among diabetic patients. Is that correct?
Yes.
We want to find out predictors of liver cirrhosis among diabetic patients. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so those are our 2 objectives. There may be more. He might have some idea of some other things he wants to look for inside that stuff that is related to prevalence and predictors. But for what is obvious to us is these 2. So let's take the first one, prevalence. Prevalence, what are the keywords? What are the synonyms? Prevalence is a keyword now. So we've gone to step 2. We have gone to step 3. Step 1 was the title. We have our title. Step 2 was our objectives. We did our objectives. Step 3 is to identify the keywords we have identified. Step 4 now is for us to search for synonyms for those keywords. Can anybody tell us what are those synonyms for prevalence? I can give you one: proportion.
Occurrence.
Occurrence.
Spread.
Someone said incidence. Very good. Prevalence and incidence are not the same thing, but some people mistaking it for that, and it still gets published like that. So we will use incidence. So prevalence, incidence. Prevalence is our keyword. Our synonyms will now was using incidence. Now, and some people watching this video now online will go and start castigating me. There's a reason why I said prevalence and incidence as synonymous. They are not the same, but people use it accidentally, and we want to see any article that has incidence. Maybe they made a mistake and it was prevalence they're talking about. They made a mistake and mentioned incidence. Okay, so we're doing incidence, we're doing prevalence, we're doing proportions, we're doing what again? What again?
Spread.
Spread. Okay, so we can take that. So let's just do like 2 or 3. So let's first start with prevalence. We want this software, this specialized format, this specialized part of the software to give us everything on the Pubmed database, the National Library of Medicine, everything that has to do with prevalence. Anywhere in their 34 million articles or more that wrote prevalence, bring it out. We don't mind whether it's liver cirrhosis, just bring it out first. That's our first level. So what we're going to do is we're going to come here and write prevalence. And you already have your set strategy. You have written it down. You know the steps. Those steps are your strategy, your set strategy. You know the steps. You know where you are going. You have already checked on Google to check for what are the other synonyms for prevalence. You know. So we're doing prevalence. Now see what I'm going to do. I am going to add it. Just click on add. And what I've done is that I've added that prevalence to the search box, this query box here. And it's simple. I'm just going to go and say search. But this is the danger when I just go and say search. I click search and see what happens. It took me back to where I did alert. It took me back to where to where I started. And it listed everything about prevalence. So, and can anybody see these results here? How many?
2023.
What?
3 million.
3 million.
3 million. So there are 3 million articles that have the word prevalence written, either in the title, either in the methods, anywhere. They're just 3 million. We don't need 3 million, but we don't want to miss any mistake, any article that is by mistakenly put somewhere with this prevalence. So just first bring it out and keep it for us. Okay, so we have this. And the software is keeping it. The software is very advanced, it's keeping it. So let's go back. So I've done one thing. You can see the history here, search details, see number 1, search what prevalence, see our results. Does it make sense?
Yes, sir.
Very good. So the next thing is, what is our next synonym? What is our next
Incidents.
synonym? Incidents. Okay, so let's do incidents. So this is what we're going to do. I'm going to put incidents there. I'm going to add it to this query here. That means I can, instead of going through this process of, I'm taking you slowly. Instead of going through this process here, I can as well just come and type incidents here, right? Is that correct? And then I'm still going to click on search. But see what happens when I click on search again. It takes me back and starts bringing out this stuff. So this is counterproductive. We said we're going to be productive. We're adults. We need to do things with time. All right. So we're going to go back. Incidence has been populated. Prevalence has been populated. Okay. But we don't want to be going back and forth again. The software allows us to do that without going back and forth. Meanwhile, at any point in time, you can see those results. Like, for instance, incidents, I can click on this and see all those results that came out for incidents. Okay. Easy peasy. No worries. We go back to advanced. We're not going to be going back and forth again. I just did that to show you so that you know the different steps in which you can take. Let's add one more. One more. Somebody tell me one more.
Proportion.
Proportion. So somebody says proportion. Okay, so we'll add both. Proportion. So let's, now instead of hitting search, see what I'm going to do. I'm just going to come to the side here and say add to history. Do you see the magic? Did you see what happened? Can anybody point out what magical happened?
No, sir, repeat.
Sorry?
All the search terms are accumulated in one box.
Yes, I didn't need to go back to the main page. You can see the results here for proportion. You can see before we had only these two. Now the results came here. If I need to look at it, I can go and check, click on it, and it takes me back. Are we clear about this?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Good. Let me add the last one. Someone said occurrence. My main guy there said occurrence. Where is even Jafar now? Occurrence. Jafar is not around, but
He's not around today, sir.
okay. No wonder the place is just dry. No Jafar, man. Okay. So I'm doing this. Now I'm not going to hit on search again. Look down here. Look, you can see there are just 3 things here. All I'm going to do is to come here and say add to history. And then how many do we have?
4.
Okay. So you see we have 2 million. We have 500,000 for proportion. We have 3 million for incidents. 3 sorry, I hit it. Another 3,500,000 for incidents. Now, I have finished with one keyword, right? But I don't want to leave this like the way it is. I want to combine them together into one, so that, because it's only one word we're talking about now. We're just talking about prevalence now. Why are we now trying to have 4 different things for prevalence? Can we put them together in one single search that now is either prevalence or occurrence or proportion or incidence? Does it make any sense?
Yes, sir.
So what I'm going to do is
Yes, sir.
this. I am going to add to the query box. I am going to do this and say add query. So I'm starting with prevalence. Look at what happens here. Can you see where prevalence came in? Can you see?
Yes, sir.
Very good.
Yes,
The
sir.
next thing I'm going to do is I am going to add the next one. Maybe, which one do you want us to add? Occurrence, proportion, incidence, which one?
Proportion.
Proportion. So let's go to proportion. Look at what I'm doing. I'm clicking this ellipsis again, and I'm adding now. Tell me which one we should add with. Should I delete? Should I put not? Should I put or? Should I put and? Which one?
And.
If you're following. Some people said or,
And.
some people said and.
Or.
Why?
Or.
Why do you say or? Why do you say and?
Because if you say or, it
wait,
will
one,
only.
one at, yes, if you say or.
If
Wait, are you
or,
for and or for or? Which one are you arguing for?
I'm for and.
Okay, good. Let's see.
I'm for or.
Okay, let's the and guy go first. The ands have it first.
And for and, because if you put and, it will give you a wider range that contains both the incidence and prevalence. But if you put or, you only take half of it. You have a shorter articles.
Okay.
No,
So
sir.
the guy that says
I'm
or,
for
let's
or.
see. You for or. Why?
I'm for or. If you put and, it will give you articles that has both prevalence and proportion.
But if
you put or, it will give you articles that have both.
If you put and, it must have, that article must have both prevalence and proportion inside. If it doesn't have, it will not come out. So it's going to narrow our search. It's going to leave out only those ones that have only prevalence. And it will be looking for the ones that have prevalence and proportion inside. That's going to give us a narrow stuff. So I hope you are clear.
Yes, I am.
Yes, you will see where we'll use and. So I'm just going to say or. Look at what happens here. Can you see what happened in the query box?
Yes,
prevalence or proportion. You can come here and type. By the time you guys, by next week, I'm sure you guys will become very special, become specialists. You can come here and just type it by yourself. But this is the way to build it and understand the search strategy. You can come here and say in bracket prevalence or proportion. The only thing you need to know is that Boolean operators or and not always, for most of this software, Google Scholar and Pubmed, all of them, they use the Boolean search with capital. You must write it in capital OR, capital not, capital and. That's the way the software understands it. Otherwise, you think it's something another sentence. Okay, so let's see what happens when we do prevalence, and let's see if we can interpret when we do prevalence or proportion. Let's see if we can get what. So I'm going to search, but I'm not going to search. I'm just going to add to history. Do you see what happened?
Yes,
can anybody explain why are we having this 3.7 million? Chineke, what 3.7? Why are we never had 3.7 before? We only had 3. The maximum we had was 3.5. Now we're having 3.7. Why?
3.7 is a combination of articles that have either of the
prevalence, two. Yes. It will even pick articles that have both of them inside.
Exactly.
Or pick prevalence or proportion, or the ones that have both prevalence and proportion. That's why we have 3.7 million. Makes sense.
Yes,
very good. So now look at the magic here. Look at where it becomes more interesting. Now this one is a search that I have already. So I'm going to add it. I'm going to add the query. This is very simple. Everybody can do it. Once you understand those steps, you are just good to go. You are you are a master on your own. So I want to add now, we have prevalence, we have proportion. I want to add occurrence. Okay, I want to add occurrence. So how can anybody tell me how I'll add occurrence? How do I do that?
You click
You
on
go to
action
action,
on
under
occurrence.
action.
Yes, yes. And I should put not, Abby?
No.
Or and.
Add
Oh,
or.
Oh, very good, very good. So this, so we have this.
Yes, sir.
Then I'm not going to start adding, I'm not going to send again. I want to put the last one. The last one is incidence. So I'm going to do it very quickly like this and put or. Can you see what we have here? So look at the query. You can write this query yourself. The only thing about this query is that you have some brackets that you need to put, but as you're adding each one, you'll be putting the brackets. But even if you do without the brackets, it's going to work. Okay. So I'm going to add to history. See, I've added so much to history that they change this thing from search now to add to history automatically. AI. Okay. So I'm adding to history. Let's see what we get. 5 million. 5,900,000. Is this not like counterproductive? We're trying to search for something, but this is embarrassing. Oh my God. But this is one part. So we will never miss any article that mistakenly mentioned occurrence in place of prevalence, proportion in place of prevalence, incidence in place of prevalence. We have searched it in one place and we have kept it somewhere. For all we know, or all intents and purposes, there are almost 6 million, 5.9 million articles that mention that out of the 34 million that they have. Okay. So what is the next thing? Let's leave predictors. Predictors is another objective. Let's leave predictors. Now, what's the next thing? Liver cirrhosis. Liver cirrhosis. Very good. So liver cirrhosis is a medical term. Remember, let's don't mess up liver cirrhosis. Let's don't go to Google and be checking liver cirrhosis. What are the synonyms for liver cirrhosis? We'll be getting all these gargadia terms. Let's go to the mesh. Okay. So I don't want to leave this page. I don't know what will happen if I okay, so this is what we're going to do. Just to get, I want to give you an idea of how the mesh looks like separately, because you can decide to search for mesh separately. So let me do this very quickly. Time is not on my side. Okay, so I'm changing to another tab. Can you see the new tab or you're still seeing the old tab?
New tab.
Yeah, you can see the new tab, Google, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so we're going to do this. We're going to
Yes,
do
sir.
Pubmed. Right? Now look at when you search Pubmed without even going far, you can see this. It says what?
Mesh database.
That's the medical subject headings. You click on that. You come inside the mesh here and say liver cirrhosis. You can notice here, it's only going to be searching mesh terms, right? Liver cirrhosis. Okay, so we can see liver cirrhosis here. Let's click on it. Let's see what the guys at Pubmed and the articles at Pubmed, what they represent as liver cirrhosis. So the first thing you need to do now, please listen very carefully here, because some people mess it up here, but it's very simple. Listen very carefully. The first thing you need to do is it will give you so many. This is a very specific medical term, so you might not have very many options, but to give you options about other things that may be termed liver cirrhosis. You need to look at your own definition of liver cirrhosis, and that's the one you click on. So here it says a liver disease with normal microcirculation, the gross vascular anatomy and stuff. This seems to be what we're looking for. But let's look. Experimentally induced chronic, this is not what we're looking for. Liver cirrhosis, and this has biliary there. Fibrosis, this is probably not what we're looking for. Liver cirrhosis, alcoholic, this is not what we're looking for. This is the main cirrhosis. The guy that asked the question, I don't know what he's looking for, but I'm just suspecting that is this, in the interest of time. So we'll click on this. Now, when you click on this, you see, these guys are so smart. They are thinking, they are using their faculty to think. They are spending money and they are thinking. They have thinkers that are thinking and making things work. They have subject headings that will help you to refine your search. If what you are looking for, the mesh terms you are looking for is in psychology, it will look for liver cirrhosis as is related to psychology. It might be another term that is used. If it's epidemiology, it might give us a term that medical researchers, public health researchers, when they go out doing some epidemiological stuff on liver cirrhosis, this is the kind of terms that they use. And if you just use liver cirrhosis like that, you may not get it. So you can look for which one concerns you here, which subheading concerns you here, and you select. Are you interested in etiology, genetics, history, immunology? Name it, select it. Veterinary, anything, just select it, right? And if liver cirrhosis
Pathology.
is your main topic, if liver cirrhosis is the main topic, is the main title, please come here and say we're restricting this to the mesh major topic. So it's going to help you search the mesh major topic. But aside from all these arrangements that were arranged, what you need to look back is look down here. And when you look down here, you see disease category. This is the tree. All right, this is called the tree of all. So liver diseases, liver cirrhosis, liver. So if you want to be more specific, you can type liver cirrhosis alcoholic, liver cirrhosis biliary, liver cirrhosis experimental. But the lower terms for liver cirrhosis is any one of these in that tree, if you want to be more specific. But the other higher term is liver disease. So if you want to be less specific and you want to just open it up, they have articles that have been tagged as liver disease, but they are mentioning liver cirrhosis. Because you need to be careful sometimes when you are being very specific. If you're very specific about predictors of liver disease, we have some studies that they only did liver cirrhosis. And we have some studies that they did liver disease generally, and they classified liver cirrhosis, other liver diseases. If you say you're only interested in liver cirrhosis and you are too specific about this mesh term as liver cirrhosis, you may miss out the other studies that they did that have liver diseases. Cirrhosis is also one of those liver diseases that they mentioned. They might not have even mentioned this clearly. They might just have mentioned it in a scope or something. So, and that might also be important for your introduction and the rest like that. So this is how to look at the medical subject headings. It's a very, very big thing on its own. If I'm going to make this is like a 2-hour video on how to use this specifically to do this. But if you have now selected all the stuffs you want to select and you're okay, you can now add it to the search builder here. So it's going to tab liver cirrhosis and it's going to be searching only liver cirrhosis as the major subheading. This is too specific. All right, this is too specific. And if you want to go ahead and add, you can add. If you want to go ahead and search Pubmed for this as the major topic subject, you go. So just to quickly go to medical subject headings, please let me go back.
Sorry, sir, before you leave this page. Okay.
Okay, go ahead.
I wanted to ask you, what if you do not include mesh terms? What is going to be the outcome? Because you checked
if you don't include mesh terms, then you're going to get something very small because the mesh terms have already been made as part of the search criteria. And those mesh terms have been used as tags for particular articles. So if the guys at mesh or the guys in the committee go and say liver cirrhosis, tag this article as liver cirrhosis. Anybody looking for something about liver cirrhosis would be seeing those articles. But if you now say exclude mesh terms, there's a very high chance that you will not see those articles that are about liver cirrhosis, but liver cirrhosis was not mentioned. I don't know if you understand what I'm trying to say. Let me come again.
Sir.
These guys see an article and they tag this article with a medical subject heading as this article is about liver cirrhosis, even if liver cirrhosis is not written inside there as liver cirrhosis. It might be an experimental form of liver cirrhosis that they are talking about. It might be something else. But once these guys have seen it and said this is liver cirrhosis, if you are using liver cirrhosis to search and medical subject headings are involved in it, it will bring out articles that have liver cirrhosis inside and the articles that these guys have also tagged as liver cirrhosis articles. But if you exclude it, it will exclude those articles, but bring out the other ones that come with the plain liver cirrhosis that you know. Does this help?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Good. Okay, so once you do all of that, you can add it to the builder. I think our time is already, this is 2 hours now. And I just want us to continue on the other side. So let's just say we did prevalence of liver cirrhosis, right? Remember the our objective that we're working on. So we did prevalence of liver cirrhosis among diabetics. So let's do liver cirrhosis. Let's just assume that we're putting liver cirrhosis here. Now, see what happens if I do this. Liver cirrhosis is not one word. It's not one word. It's two words, but we want it together. We don't want liver. If we say liver, see what we're seeing now, 1.2 million. If we say liver cirrhosis, what happens is when we say liver cirrhosis, the software automatically adds an and to it. But in some cases, it doesn't do that, right? So, but for us to be very sure that it is doing liver cirrhosis, we add what is called a quotation. So we're going to do this. Say liver cirrhosis. How am I spelling this? Okay, double R. All right, and then we close this. Let's see what happens when we add this to history. So you see, 112,000 for liver cirrhosis. I'm not adding any other synonym for liver cirrhosis. I'm just leaving it as liver cirrhosis like this. I'm just showing you so that you know how dynamic this is. You mustn't say you have to have 5 synonyms, 20 synonyms. No. If you are satisfied with the word that you have, then you're okay. Now, let's do the last one, diabetics. I can decide to leave diabetics off and use it as a filter, but let's put diabetics. So now diabetics, there's something we can do here. If you are going to write diabetic, diabetogenic, diabetes, do all these things, they are just iterations of the same word. What is the shortest way in which we can write this, that anything after it will be included? So we don't have to say diabetics, diabetes, type 1 diabetes, type 2, and the rest like that. What is the shortest word? Let me remove it from here.
Truncation.
Yeah, truncation. So what tell me that word that would write. What's the shortest?
Diap.
Is it just D? Is it A,
diap.
B? Are you sure? No, this will bring diabolic. Nigerian guys are diabolic now. I beg, Nigerian guys are diabolic guys. This kind of jazz. The kind of jazz that they okay.
Yeah.
What of this?
Diabetes.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Don't be shy to try, and it mustn't be the shortest. So just use your intuition. But let's say it's this. So we're going to put that star there. That means we've truncated it. Anything that can be added to this, please just add it and bring it out. Don't waste our time. You see, all these things I'm explaining in 2 hours is something you can do in 10-15 minutes if you know what you're doing. No, you just carry a small paper and say, okay, these are the synonyms, put them all, and then you have your way. So let's do this. Let's add this to history. We have 899,000. All right. I think diabetes is something that is well studied, because if out of about 34 million articles, and you have about 1 million diabetes, you know that. I know in the past, medicine, they used to say that if you know diabetes, you know medicine. Plus surgery, plus everything. If you know diabetes, you will because diabetes just covers almost every single system. You can imagine why when you are setting a single stuff, you are seeing almost 1 million. Meanwhile, we set liver cirrhosis and we just saw only 100 and something thousand. Okay, so that's by the way. How do we combine prevalence, liver cirrhosis, diabetes together? Tell me, do I say prevalence or liver cirrhosis or diabetes? Or how do I put it? Because now we're in step 6. We want to now combine everything to one single search. These were our 3 keywords: prevalence, we had diabetes, and we had liver cirrhosis. All right.
You use
we use and very good. So if we had like Nigeria too, we can add it. I'm just giving you an example. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to start with this first one. We're going to add the query, right? We're going to now add liver cirrhosis, but please, which one should I press here? Add with what?
First.
Add with what?
And
very good. So you can see we've added liver cirrhosis. And then the last one is which one? Diabetes. This is diabetes something. So we're going to also add. Okay. So and if we've done this, we'll add to history and see what happens. You see that it's beginning to make sense, right?
Yes, sir.
Now we have 2,367. This is still much. We have not added Nigeria. If we add Nigeria now, maybe not to be there again. You know, because our Nigerian guys sometimes we're not too serious. We're serious, but sometimes, you know. So, but that's by the way, 2,367. Okay. So if we're okay with this, we're finished with our stuff. Can anybody remember what is the 7th step?
Filter.
apply
Filter. Very good,
filters.
very good, very good. So let's go to Pubmed now and see this stuff. This is a whole review on non-alcoholic steatohepatitis. This might not be related to cirrhosis, but there's cirrhosis inside. There's liver disease inside. There's liver transplant. There's so many things that might even help you in your introduction. Okay, but that's not even where we're going. This is all what has come out from our search. Okay, now we want to apply filters. If you look at the left pane here, you see my NCBI filters. These are all the filters. You can filter by year. This is bringing up stuff from 1952 up to 2022. You can filter by only abstract being available. You can decide to filter on Pubmed. You can decide to filter on only the one that has free full text in Pubmed Central. You can decide to filter on the one that has full text but is not free. You can decide to filter the one if you are somebody that does secondary data analysis and you want to see whether there's a data set that is available for you to use. You can decide to filter the one that has only the data set, such that you can now see which one has data set and call the authors and send an email to them that can they make data set available to you, something like that. You can decide to filter and remove all, because for all these things that we have, I'm sure we'll see some books. Definitely you see some books that have cirrhosis, liver, and all these things inside now. Prevalence, incident, all these things in one place. So we can decide to just give us only books, or look at, very interesting here, we can decide to get what? A systematic review. Filter, just give us only systematic review. Let's see how lucky we can be today. Okay, so the first filter I'll add here, I'll just add this filter here. Drop this to, in fact, there's a fast filter. Instead of using this one, there's a fast one here, 5 years. So you can see those 5 years and 10 years I was talking about. You can even decide to just be so this now and just let's say 10 years and see what happens. See, by the time we dropped 10 years, look at what happened. 1,499. Okay, 10 years is even too generous. Let's drop this into 5 years. Publication date, 5 years, 999 results. We're getting there, Abi?
Yes, sir.
999. Okay. Let us go all out because we don't have time. Let's see if we have any systematic reviews. 19 results.
Wow.
Awesome. So we have something talking about supportive treatment in liver disease. We have metabolic risk factors and incidence of advanced liver disease in non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, a systematic review. We have risk factors for intrahepatic and extrahepatic cholangiocarcinoma, a systematic review. There are some things on incidence there. If you check all these stuffs, you definitely find what is. And don't forget that here we're only looking at one. We're only looking at prevalence, right? So if by the time you check and you don't see anything that is directly related to your work, try to start having a second thought. Adjust your search parameters. Be a little relaxed on some areas and then scan through. But I can assure you by the time you scan through, you might, and then there might not even be a particular systematic review that is exactly on that topic. But I assure you, if you pick any of the systematic reviews, you see a lot of things that you can write on that aspect or on aspects that are related to your objectives. Okay, so let's say we have seen what we like. We can open it and see what is there. Let's say we open this. This one looks very good. It's a systematic review, meta-analysis, unexpected rapid increase in the burden. This is burden. So burden is incidence and prevalence, occurrence, all those things in one. Non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. So maybe within it, there's something about cirrhosis. I don't know. You guys are the experts. Okay, so let's say this is what we have seen and we like it. What's our last step?
Save.
Save. Very good. Very important to save. So we can just do this and say save, right? It will save a file, but this is not very, very good. You can do this and say email and put your email and then to send it to your email. This is also not very good because it doesn't keep you organized. One of the best ways to be organized is you click on send to, and you can send to your collections. If you send to your collections, you need to be logged into Pubmed, the National Library of Medicine account. And you have a very beautiful dashboard that keeps all your stuff that you're searching there. So I'll implore you, please, when you go back, go and register on Pubmed. When you register on Pubmed, you will see the create an account. And anytime you search on Pubmed, you can save in your collections. And it's very, very nice. What most of you will be doing very quickly is citation manager. So if you have a citation manager, EndNote, Zotero, Quicker, Mendeley, just name it, any of those citation managers, you can click on this citation manager and it allows you to create a file. There are so many different kinds of files. It can be a BibTeX file, it can be a RefMan file, it can be any kind of file that is created that you can automatically import into your reference manager and it's there for you forever. Okay. Now, but remember that this is just only one. This is one. Okay. This is one article. So what if we've seen multiple ones that are important to us, right? Don't forget that we have limited this thing to, because I know this guy can be sad now that maybe he hasn't seen exactly the one that he's looking for there. Don't forget that we limited this to the last 5 years. If you expand it, you still see more, right? So don't worry about that. I'm just trying to explain. Once you take your time and you check, you see a lot of stuff. Okay. This one has a free Pubmed Central article. This one has a free Pubmed Central article. But let's say we like this one. This one too is good. This is also very good. These four are good. So I'm going to just check off here and check off this one too, and check off this one and check this off too. And then when we have these 4 items, can you see? We can now decide to go and save or email or send to. Okay. And you can send to your citation manager, you can send to collections, you can send to your bibliography, you can just save it on the clipboard and continue. Okay, so just check it out and see which one works well for you. You have to log in and sign up with your account for you to be able to use this National Library. So and once you're able to do this and you've saved, say you're using Mendeley, you have all your references there automatically. Then you just continue your writing, continue your write-up. If you're not interested in literature and systematic reviews, maybe there's no systematic review on that subject. You remove the systematic review and maybe even look for a review or maybe look for something else or whatever, and then you have your perfect search. If after you've done this with your solid search strategy and you don't see anything, then you can really hit your hand on your chest and say, this is not there. Don't forget, you still have to set some other databases. But I will say that this is your first point of call. And the same way, other databases are trying to copy what Pubmed is doing, because only with Pubmed that you can apply all those 7 steps. With Google Scholar, you can apply like 5 or 6, all those 8 steps, sorry. You can apply like 5 or 6 of them using the same kind of format. If you go to Google Scholar, go to advanced, and you can put in all those things. It's just looking a little different from Pubmed, but you see a lot of stuff there. So by the time you do this on Pubmed, the same strategy you have, use it on Google Scholar, and maybe go to some of the other conferences. If you're doing something on liver, is there a conference on liver cirrhosis? Or there's a conference, there's one conference, American Liver Association or something. They always have conference every year. They're spending billions of dollars on doing stuff like that. If you search on Pubmed, if their conference is not hosted on Pubmed, you will not see. But you see a lot of information in their conference website, just checking through their, and some conference websites are so advanced, like the IAPAC I was telling you about, they are so advanced that they even have all these places you can put in Boolean searches and the rest, and you are good to go. So this is a nutshell, is how to search for literature in the best way. And this is what the librarians will do. If you are lucky, you go to any of all these advanced universities, you just give your librarian the topic, and then he searches. This is exactly what they're going to do, search it out for you and send them to you. But in our situation where we don't have that kind of luxury, and this is a skill that you can also learn, then you should, I think you can try to learn this skill. It's very, very simple. You know, you're not going to see it really explained like this, but this is like the basic level explanation. Just try it out. You see, a lot of my own residents have used these methods, and a lot of people currently, like I'm telling you, we're doing a systematic review. This is the same method that we're using, and it works perfectly. Once we describe our search strategy, there's absolutely nothing wrong with the strategy. So I think this is where we're going to stop. Our time is fast spent. I intended to use 1 hour. I don't know how I use 1 hour, 2 hours, 16 minutes. But please, I'll pause here and see if there are still any questions. Otherwise, I'll implore you that you should please go and practicalize this out. If you have any questions, let me know. And I'm sure you're going to find a lot of stuff using these techniques to search. And this is the standard. This is the world standard. It's not just made up. It's the world standard. Is what librarians and all the other people that are able to search, and all the people that are doing systematic reviews and other reviews are using. Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Olorukova. Thank you so much. May God bless you immensely. You know, initially when you started, and you said, I think you had spent about 30 minutes or so, and you said you had 2 more slides to go. I was even scared, like, I thought this topic is supposed to be a complex one. But within these 2 hours, yes, you really trashed it out. And it's amazing how you simplified this very complex concepts. Thank you so much, sir. We appreciate you, sir. So if you have any questions, please kindly share. He has overshot his time. Make it snappy, please. Thank you.
So let me
So
look
the
into
chat
the
box
chat.
is filled with thanks. Thank you very much. Very informative, very educative.
All right, awesome.
Thank you very much. I've waited for this lecture for 6 years.
6 years?
6 years.
Oh my God.
Very, very good.
That's serious.
You can see how is I passed my part 1 in 2016, and this is pretty good. Thank you. I appreciate it. God bless you.
You're welcome.
God bless you immensely.
Yeah,
I don't mind next
Amen.
lectures. Please, I'll send my emails. Just let me know your next meeting.
All right.
Introduction, methodology, and everything. I really
All right.
appreciate you.
You're
Thank
welcome,
you very
sir.
much.
All right. Thank you too. All right, Khadija, I think that's all.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Thank you.
All right.
Yes, sir. On behalf of
Okay.
the editorial team of National Hospital Association of Resident Doctors, we appreciate you once again, sir, for your dedication, for your time, for simplifying such complex concepts and making it so easy to digest. God bless you, sir.
You're welcome.
Yes,
All
sir.
right.
Thank you so much, sir.
Okay.
And
All right.
apology
Bye-bye.
to the person who was supposed to meet you over an hour ago.
Okay. I'm sure. Okay. No worries. I'll tell the person.
Thank you
Okay.
so much, sir.
All right.
Have
So
a
bye-bye.
lovely weekend.
Yeah,
All
you
right.
too.
Thank you so much,
Okay.
everyone.
Bye-bye.